Orochimaru. This guy has been a topic of discussion for ages now, and he's been a fan favorite for even longer than that. But if there's one question that's been asked more than the rest, it's where is Orochimaru? Because unlike someone like Kakashi who's only been teased in Ikimoto's interviews, Orochimaru has been teased in the manga itself, and not just once, but several times. First, we see him at the end of the Boruto movie watching over Mitsuki, Boruto, and Sarada very ominously after Mitsuki mentions that Orochimaru is his dad. Then Shoujoji mentions Orochimaru in chapter 13 when he's salty that he doesn't get a ninja playing card, but Orochimaru does, even though Orochimaru has done plenty of horrible things in the past. Then we actually see that playing card when Sarada buys some and gets the super special rare Orochimaru card in chapter 15. Then Mitsuki mentions how he is a clone of Orochimaru that was created from scratch when he was curious if the same was done to Kawaki by Kara in chapter 25. Then when Sarada is talking about her mom's similar looking Byakugo seal in chapter 35, Mitsuki mentions how his parent, Orochimaru, said that the mitotic regeneration jutsu goes back a long way, and there's a lot that we still don't know about it. Then we don't see or hear about Orochimaru again until chapter 9 of Two Blue Vortex, where we see Boruto and Koji in one of Orochimaru's hideouts. And then finally in chapter 13, Koji outright says they're in one of Orochimaru's old hideouts when he reverse summons Boruto there in the flashback of when they first met. And don't even get me started on all the anime-only editions too. Needless to say, they've been teasing Orochimaru for a very long time. About 9 years in fact. So we have every reason under the sun to be asking where this dude is. And now that Two Blue Vortex has begun to reintroduce Orochimaru through his hideouts in the Mitsuki-san storyline from the Mitsuki one-shot chapter, we have reason to believe that Orochimaru is not a dropped plot point, and he will make an appearance in some manner at some point, potentially sooner rather than later given that Orochimaru was first name dropped by Shoujoji in chapter 13 of part 1, then was actually shown on those ninja cards in chapter 15, and now he's been name dropped by Kashin Koji in chapter 13 of part 2, so he very well might be shown visually in chapter 15 of part 2 if they want to keep this trend going. But this time, rather than just being shown on a ninja playing card, he would actually be shown for real, making his first true appearance in the Boruto manga. But why now? Obviously there's the out-of-universe answer of the chapter parallels I just described, but why in-universe would Orochimaru make an appearance now?
Seriously? You asked why?
For today, I want to focus on the plot perspective as we build toward Orochimaru's impending return, starting by examining the current state of affairs between Boruto and Konoha. As we know, Boruto has been restrained by Amado's stealing cuffs with the intent of Konoha dragging out his intel, and during his interrogation in chapter 14, Boruto was adamant about not revealing who his information source was. Then as soon as Mitsuki walked into the interrogation room, Boruto immediately asked Mitsuki if he was still looking for his son, a topic that no one else in the room besides Shikamaru has ever heard of, and Mitsuki openly used his super secret powerful sage mode in front of everyone there, and freed Boruto from Amado's stealing cuffs, which Konohamaru took note of and was suspicious about, since only he, Shikamaru, and Ibiki knew the code to unlock them. Now obviously Boruto's information source is actually Koji, and Shikamaru was the one who gave Mitsuki the code to free Boruto, but think about this from the Leaf Village's perspective. Boruto has a mysterious information source who he won't reveal. Then Mitsuki shows up and Boruto brings up a topic that only he and Mitsuki understand. Then Mitsuki activates a mysterious power that they've never seen before. Then Boruto mysteriously breaks free from his sealing cuffs. Does that not sound suspicious? And historically speaking, Orochimaru has previously had ties to antagonists of the village and possessed information that the village did not. If there was one person that the village would suspect to be Boruto's ally, it would be Orochimaru. It's simply the logical conclusion based on the information they have. And based on Boruto's dialogue, there's a good chance that Orochimaru has played a greater role than just the hideout. If you reread chapter 7, you'll notice that Boruto has a peculiar amount of knowledge on the Mitsuki-san thing, knowledge he realistically shouldn't have on his own. Mitsuki never brings up the sun and moon thing at all in part 1. Not even once. not even to himself. Yeah, I know, Mitsuki says "you're my son" to Boruto a couple of times in the anime, but Mitsuki never explains to Boruto what the son means to him. He just says, "You're my son." Meanwhile, in Blue Vortex, Boruto describes the concept of Mitsuki's son in the exact same manner as Orochimaru in Log in the Mitsuki one-shot chapter. Anime or manga, Boruto never had this information in part 1. So the question is, where did he get this info? There are only 2 ways Boruto could have acquired this knowledge. Either Kashin Koji learned about the Mitsuki's son thing through his 10 Directions Shinjutsu and told Boruto about it, or Orochimaru or Log told him. And while that first option is possible, I really don't see why Kashin Koji would even care about Mitsuki and his son unless Mitsuki plays a pivotal role in saving the world. Orochimaru and Log, on the other hand, would have personal reasons for wanting Mitsuki to get his son back and spend time around Boruto again, as Log cares about Mitsuki as his brother, and Orochimaru seemingly cares about Mitsuki as his son. And even if he has ulterior motives behind creating Mitsuki, he would still want things to go according to plan by having Boruto continue to illuminate Mitsuki as his son, and of course Boruto himself would also want to reignite their friendship once again. And whether Orochimaru is affected by omnipotence or not, he would still understand that the one thing that would convince Mitsuki to stick by Boruto's side would be the topic of the sun. And sure enough, that's the first thing Boruto brings up when he defeats Mitsuki. So between the hideout and Boruto's knowledge on the sun stuff, as well as Orochimaru's connection to Koji through Jiraiya, I do think there's evidence to suggest that Boruto and Koji have at least made contact with Orochimaru. And after the stunt with Boruto and Mitsuki, Konoha may launch an investigation into Orochimaru's motives, how he might be connected to Boruto, and any critical information he could be hiding from the Leaf Village. After all, Orochimaru flat out stated in the anime that if Mitsuki reveals his sage power to the village, he won't be allowed to stay there anymore. So if not a single person in that room questions what that mysterious power Mitsuki used was, I don't want to hear another word about the Boruto anime being canon ever again, as it would be blatantly contradicted by the manga. So assuming it isn't a contradiction, this is something they should question. Now it is true that Kawaki has already made the connection to Kashin Koji when he saw one of his toads on Boruto, and Amato may potentially suspect Koji's involvement as well, but the Leaf Village doesn't know that yet. So unless Amato or Kawaki say something to point them in Koji's direction, the only reasonable suspect from the Leaf Village's perspective would be Orochimaru. In this manner, we could finally address plot threads from the past by weaving them into the current story, as Mitsuki already indicated that Orochimaru knows more about the Byakugo seal and other ancient jutsus than they do back in part 1, but the characters never did anything with that information. But with the topic of Orochimaru rising to the surface again, we have the perfect catalyst for the characters to finally confront Orochimaru. You might notice that this situation mirrors Orochimaru's role in Naruto Gaiden, where the characters visited his hideout after discovering his link to Shin Uchiha, who was their adversary at the time. This parallel is clearly intentional. Even the anime followed a similar pattern during the Mitsuki desertion arc. This formal introduction of Orochimaru in the Boruto manga aligns perfectly with how he was introduced in the past. Given that, it's likely they'll continue this trend in Blue Vortex, and I think that's a great idea. It's tense, it's exciting, it builds suspense and mystery about what Orochimaru is doing, and it sets the stage for Orochimaru to seamlessly enter the story, allowing his involvement to feel natural and earned, rather than a sudden, convenient solution to a problem. It makes Orochimaru feel like more of a character with goals and a plan of action, rather than a plot device to give the other characters solutions and an exposition dump. This is the very mistake the Naruto manga made with Orochimaru's resurrection in the war arc, where Orochimaru was brought back out of nowhere in a pretty nonsensical way, and used as a plot device to resurrect the Hokage with Edo Tensei, and that's about it. If we're gonna introduce Orochimaru into the story, let's use him as a character, not just a plot device. He is worth far more than that. So how do we make this happen? How can we tie Orochimaru's character arc to the events unfolding in the plot? And more importantly, how do we do it in a way that naturally brings Mitsuki into the story as well? That will be the subject of my next video, which will focus on the story and character perspective, a topic I'm very excited about, so stay tuned for that one. Let me know in the comments what you think about Orochimaru's potential relationship with Boruto and Koji, and whether or not you think he'll be a subject of Boruto's interrogation. Watch this video here for more of my content, subscribe and like the video if you enjoyed it, and turn on notifications so you don't miss out. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.